Hello and welcome to the Seahawkers podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Schultz, and I am joined by my good buddy, Adam Emmert. Adam, we are live. It is Wednesday. Our Seahawks are at the top of the division. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, man, I'm good. First ever live flagship show that we decided to do here.
I don't know if this is true.
Really? Live?
I feel
a flagship?
I feel like we've done it before.
Okay, well then, whatever. Then I guess it doesn't matter that I made us 15 minutes late, and I don't apologize to everybody for waiting. So yeah, here we go. But a great show to do it on, man. Like, big win last week against the Dirty Cardinals. That was awesome. First, like, kind of complete at least half of football, if not a full game, and a reason to be really fired up for the remainder of the year here.
Let's talk about that, because a complete half of football. And I mean, the thing is it comes on a great anniversary day too, because we are celebrating the 400th win in franchise history. That's kind of an anniversary. It's a 100th anniversary of the last time we won 100 games as a franchise. So happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary to everybody else. And it was a good win. And like you said, a complete half of football. It would have been nice to have maybe the whole game, but you know, when you get out to a couple touchdown lead, maybe you start coasting a little bit, and maybe we could be okay with that.
I mean, yeah, I'd still love to see a full game of it, but you get that sort of play from this football team, especially offensively. And I think that's the big story of the game. Now that we've seen the defense stack these really solid performances week after week after week, and knowing that Coach Mike has got that dialed in, at least for the moment, I think it's sustainable. I think it's real. But for Ryan Grubb and the offense to have what I think was the most effectively balanced game that they've had so far this year, that was such a boon to, I guess, my confidence going forward with this team. And just the idea that getting Lucas back takes him a couple weeks to kind of get to be closer to being the full Abraham Lucas, getting Olo in there a couple weeks to really kind of show the type of player that he's going to be in the middle after quitter Connor Williams quit on us. And then to bring in LeMaya, who some ups and downs for sure, as he continues in his first couple starts here as a rookie, be a real difference. That seemed to be kind of where it started and stopped for this Seahawks offense in this game.
I'm still not sure it's like, again, I feel like we're making like these baby steps with regard to the offense. And this one, you can be very happy about it because you had such a huge running game out of Zach Charbonnet. He ends up being the ground player of the week. He goes for, I mean, gosh, the dude had, what was it, between his rushing yards and his receiving yards.
Yeah.
He had like 200 yards in this game. It was wild. We've got Jason Stadley on the screen saying 3 weeks in a row the Hawks have had a player win an award. Kobe, Leo, and Sharbs. Can we keep the streak going? I hope so, James, because that's just what we need to do now. This is an award-winning team, and we can cap it off by playoff winning and have that be our awards once we get through all these regular season weekly awards.
Yeah, let's go for 4. Let's make next week, since it'd be the 4th one in a row, 4 sacks for Boye Mafia against Jordan Love and a Seahawks victory. Let's do that. That sounds great. I'm in.
I was thinking Ernest Jones should have gotten some kind of an award. I felt like with the interception, I mean, he was a tackling machine. Ernest Jones had an amazing game in this one. He was the reason why James Conner was stopped relatively effectively on so many times. He had a few moments, but we didn't have the James Conner game that I thought we would end up having.
Yeah, I think that Ernest Jones has been obviously a massive difference for the defense. Played yet another great game with the pick. Funny to listen to him talk about it too. Just kind of like, yeah, so I dropped into my hook and looked up and the ball was there, so better catch it. And he did just that in really a big moment there after the Cardinals had gone up 7-0. We respond with the field goal. They get the turnover there. Really cool moment there. And I mean, kind of such is the life of a linebacker, right? That's one of those unsung positions that doesn't get a lot of credit. It feels like defensively, the guys that get the credit on defense are edge players and corners. And that's kind of where it starts and stops.
but he's been it's tough to emphasize. I mean, you can't emphasize enough just how much him. I mean, even the shift to Tyrese Knight, I thought he had an excellent game. I I've grown to appreciate linebackers and linebacker play, especially after the first half of the season that we witnessed, especially after, I don't know, the last couple of seasons that we witnessed. And then now, yes, Bobby Wagner, we miss him, but we have Ernest Jones and Tyrese Knight, and those guys have been a good fit for the middle of this defense.
Absolutely. Bobby Wagner will never be replaced, and he is obviously one of the all times of all times for that area of Seahawks football. We're on to a new one, and with Ernest Jones and Tyrese Knight coming in and really bringing Mike McDonald's vision to life, being the linebacker guru that he is. Just listening to him talk about Ernest and Ernest talk about Coach Mike, and having Mike's voice in his ear during the game, and Mike kind of joking around about like, yeah, I feel like I'm out there with him. Maybe it's a little too much, but whatever it is, they seem to really jive. Like it goes together, and they're a fantastic working partnership. And give John Schneider all the credit in the world. I mean, a guy that the Rams decided not to pay, jettisons him to the Titans, and then we get to trade the linebacker that we don't want in Baker and a draft pick for Ernest Jones. And like, it looks like a small coup right now.
We go. Keep Ernest Jones out of these weekly awards until we get to week 18. We're facing the Rams.
Ooh.
And then the Seahawks. He can have his breakout amazing game. And I say breakout game like he hasn't had like a huge game yet. But he can have this amazing game that he puts together against the stupid Rams and then wins Defensive Player of the Week. And we win the division. We go to the playoffs. And hooray for us.
Oh, I love that. I love where that's going. One thing though, the way you talked about that is something that I'm hearing the entire national media, all of the Seattle sportscasters and everything. Oh well, now it all comes down to the Week 18 game against the Rams. Maybe like that's possible. Like we're already chalking up the fact that it's like, well, us and the Rams Week 18, and that's going to determine the division. There's a lot of football between now and then to be played against the Vikings, the Packers, the Vikings, and then the Bears. Like, I'm not ready to be like, oh yeah, it's between us and them in week 18 at this point.
I think part of it was because of the fact that there was some question about whether the Rams would be there. And then Buffalo comes into town and they have this Chiefs-Rams type game, except now it's Buffalo, and they score a bunch of points and the Rams put up a bunch of points. And they have this huge high scoring game. And that's the fact that the Rams won that. Now they're on the radar for winning the division.
I guess I have just as many doubts about the Rams moving forward, and I don't care what their schedule is, as I do the Seahawks. Like it's interesting to watch the national media talk very much about the Rams and like, well, they're the ones that they're in it now. I got my money on the Rams. And it's like, okay, I do like their quarterback and their two receivers, and then what?
Yeah,
like,
and then when they lose to the Niners on Thursday night, then what?
Yeah, I mean, and that's a very real possibility. I mean, weird division games, all that stuff. People just chalk that in as like, yep, that's a win. The Bills didn't show up to play against the Rams, and then turned it on late, and it was a little too late, showing that they were indeed the better team that day. Everybody points to that victory as if the Rams have arrived or they're back or whatever it is. Not buying it. Sorry.
Well, we'll see what they do over these next few games. We've got Ryan 911 coming in with a live executive producer super chat. 4-game win streak, action green jerseys in prime time. What a time to be a Hawks fan.
Yeah. Okay, action green. Okay. I'll just leave it there.
Don't you like my hoodie? I wore this in honor of our Seahawks wearing action green in prime time coming up this week.
I like your hoodie. It's got a really sexy logo on it, but I just not a big action green guy. Those could go away and die forever, and I'd be a very happy fan for sure.
DK Metcalf loves them. He loves the action green jerseys.
Look, DK also
do you have something against DK Metcalf?
I have a thing against slime line neon green as your primary color. Gross.
Yeah,
Yep.
Oh, well, that's fine.
GR double gross.
One of the things I went back and looked at was just to track again, to keep apprised of how many snaps under center versus under shotgun in this game. And I felt like, especially based on the mix early on, that it felt like a really good mix. So I was surprised when I went back at the end of the game and I saw that our Seahawks were only under center 15 times in this game, 46 out of shotgun out of 61 snaps.
Interesting. It did feel different than that. Back to the extra green for 2 seconds from Amy's comment here. Like, if it came from her, who's like legit a professional in having good taste, then it looks like I'm wrong. So I'm wrong. But in terms of being under center, yeah, it did feel like it would be more. And they did. I don't know what the run pass splits were when it was all said and done, but it did feel like it was much more connected in that it flowed. And just the rhythm of the offense felt correct. And I don't know that that's just because it's now 2 games in a row that we had the same 5 dudes up front. I don't think you can just look at that and be like, there it is. I do think Ryan Grubb has been doing some learning. And like I said in the post-game show, I've been killing him from the 30 seconds after he was hired. This was a good game, and he did a good job. So kudos to him.
I think in terms of the splits, so just roughly from the 15 out of under center, I think it was about 2-1. So 10 runs, 5 passes ish, that's fine. That's it's what you would kind of expect, because generally when you're under center, that's usually signaling a run. But to have a 33% differential there, that's just enough of a surprise for the defense. Total run plays on the day were 30. So, it ended up being pretty close to 50-50. And I think that's more of being up 2 touchdowns going toward halftime. And so you're up for a good portion of the second half, and you could run the ball, and they were having success with it. So why stop?
Because this is falling right in to the same crap that we heard from Pete and from Grubb all through the beginning of the year. Well, we would run the ball, but we haven't gotten in the situation yet to where it's all going to work out. That's why the numbers are so skewed. No. They committed to it early and got to it early. We're able to get up 2 scores because they committed to it early, so that's cool. And then, yes, situationally at the end of the game, you ran the ball a bit more because you're up scores, but not because like you just magically ended up 2 scores and now you can run the football and it made the numbers match up a little closer. Like they committed to it early before they were up 2 scores. And that's the important part here.
Well, it was part of the reason why they're able to get up 2 scores with that 51-yard Charbonnet run. And I still, when I go back and watch it, I'm impressed that he outruns everybody from 50 yards, because it doesn't seem like 50 yards to me. But
I feel
I
like
went
85, 205. How many yards?
I don't know exactly what it felt like. It just felt like I was cheering for a long time, waiting for Charbonnet to get to the end zone.
Yeah, and look, he had himself a fantastic football game. I don't want to take anything away from Sharps. Good for him. I definitely would have to see a lot more performances that were even 65 to 70% of that before I'm like, oh yeah, Sharps is the lead guy. And like, K9 should be the, go with the Thunder first and then bring in the Lightning. He'll be the complimentary back. Not even close to that for me. I'm a long ways away from that. I sure would love to see Kenneth Walker III get a blocking day like that. Boy, would I love to see that. But it just, you wouldn't have had to have held your breath on a 51-yard touchdown run for 95 seconds with K9. Like he would have been there in a hiccup, and you definitely wouldn't have been worried.
I don't know if you caught any of the Brock and Salk show this week, but they had Daniel Jeremiah on. And one of the things that Salk has been throwing out there as a question this week on 710 Seattle Sports is whether or not Zach Charbonnet is the better fit for this Ryan Grubb offense, and that maybe being why he had so much success. And it was just funny because he threw it out there to Daniel Jeremiah, And he's like, no, I just think that essentially saying, because what it comes down to is whether or not you see anything in Charbonnet's game that equates to being something special that would fit. It might be, because what would it be if you had an offensive coordinator, one runner or another? Could it be that, just to play devil's advocate with it, could Zach Charbonnet, his patience or maybe slowness to the hole, allow blocks to develop a little bit better, and then the blocking schemes work, and that's why he would. I'm trying to make an effective argument here. Is that why Charbonnet could be better in this offense? And I don't think so, but you're welcome to.
That has a 0% chance of being correct. And I'll tell you why, because we've seen him all throughout the beginning of this year in this system. If he was so much better and this system fit him so much cleaner, then we would have seen the extra performance out of Sharbs week in, week out, every time he touched the ball, over top of what you saw from K9. No, they both struggled mightily because Grubb refused to run the ball for a good long time, then started to figure out they need to do it, then took his sweet ass time figuring out we need to get under center a little bit more, and finally gets to it and finally settles on 5 dudes that can play up front for last week or the week before against the Jets. And then it finally all comes together against the Cards. That's not because Sharp's style fits this better. It's that Ryan Grubb finally figured it out, or at least for a game.
Yeah, and that's where I was worried about that. After that, we couldn't just be happy having an awesome Zach Charbonnet performance, that it would somehow come down to this discussion between Zach versus K9. And I just, for one, I would need to see it more. And I don't know. I don't know what I would have to see out of Charbonnet for me to be a believer in that idea that it would be more of a system fit, I guess. And yeah, I don't.
This is what it would look like to me. K9 misses the next 4 games because the knee injury lingers, whatever it is, right? Sharps goes in and turns out some nice, well-fought yardage to the tune of, 60 yards plus a game on the ground, 20 yards plus receiving, and just really looks comfortable in the flow, like over 3, 4, 5 games. Okay. Then maybe I think it's a discussion if you see that sort of performance. One great game. Like I don't do flashes in the pan. Like that's not my thing. Like I'm not like, that guy had a good one game or even a good half season, crown him. Like that's not the way I operate.
And I think it's, with this game in particular too, I think it is more of the offensive line coming together at the right time. Those guys starting to build some consistency within itself. I mean, you even look at the yards per carry between Kenny McIntosh and Zach Charbonnet. Kenny carried it 70 times for 38 yards. That's, between 5 and 6 yards per carry. Charbonnet finished with 134 yards, 22 carries. That's about 6 yards per carry. Plus he had the breakout 50+ yard run to boost his up a little bit. So I feel like it just leans a little bit more toward the offense and some of the blocking that they're doing, some of the run concepts that they're seeming to get down as maybe some of their favorites. And if they can keep doing that, then I'm going to be happy. No matter who's back there, I think they'll be able to have some significant success with these guys up front. And it wouldn't hurt if they got to play a defensive line as talented as the Arizona Cardinals every week.
Yeah, that would definitely help things. They will not have that luxury going up against the Green Bay Packers next week at home. But with that said, you're right, man. If it does end up being Charbonnet who has that sort of production, then fantastic. I do think that it's more likely to get that out of somebody as talented as Kenneth Walker. But with that said, you talked about the schemes that they're finally kind of figuring out and the types of runs that they're utilizing to have success with and find success with. I hear a lot of talk about the gap scheme, which is apparently what a lot of these runs have been. I guess I don't.
Yeah, well, I'm just the counter plays where they pull the guard and the tackle.
Well, yeah. So no, I've heard counter stuff, and then I heard gap scheme, as the other big one talked about a lot. Are those the same thing? Like, I honestly don't know. We're
They
just
are.
fans.
Yeah, they're the same thing.
Cool football.
Well, because
Thanks for. Yeah.
Gaps. The difference is you have gap style runs, you have zone runs, right? And
I
zone is
understand
more of
zone
the
runs.
idea, where they flow and then you kind of take the lane, right?
Yeah.
And the gap is trying to create a specific gap. And this is good that we talk about this though, because I think a lot of people hear gap runs, zone runs, counter, like
duo,
trap blocks, duo. Yeah. There's a lot that we could probably we could spend half the show talking about it too. But gap runs are just where they have a specific gap that your running blocks or that your running back is designed to go to. Zone runs, not so much.
Good. I'm glad we call it 2 or 3 different things just to make sure that everybody feels like they sound smart in their own language. But the thing is that listening to Mike talk about it and some of the questions, I think Nemmerhauser asked him a question about the gap scheme stuff and then asking him defensively about stopping the run. And he's like, yeah, most football teams in the NFL, for whatever reason, live in, inside, outside zone and then duo. Like that's kind of what you see out of the majority of the teams. And so it sounds like this is a little bit more in the college realm and something that is more atypical of NFL teams than, say, just your standard outside stretch zone and that sort of thing.
I think you do see fewer of the counter style gap scheme runs in NFL offense, which it's fine if they can figure out how to work it and it ends up being successful. How they get to the run game and have success, that doesn't matter to me at all.
Right. So does it concern you at all that it seems to be like this one type of run they're having success with and maybe not like all of the different concepts as a whole? Or because you don't have to be a master at every single type of run as an offense, right? Like, but I'm guessing you probably need to be really good at one and pretty good at another two, and then away you go. Does that concern you at all? Or do you think like this is just a stepping stone, like you said, baby steps, and they can get to maybe running some of the other concepts a little more functionally?
I think it's more baby steps. I think it's also good to have these types of plays that you feel like you can run well. If they start running it all the time, defenses are going to figure it out and they're going to shut it down real quick. And that's just how the NFL works. But we also saw him have success with the other Zach Charbonnet touchdown where they lined up. They had 3 tight ends on the field. They stretched it out a little bit, and they had Brady Russell lined up in the backfield. And I was just happy to see them get a rushing touchdown inside the 5. And I mean, we've been waiting for this. Yes, they got it outside and into the end zone, but it was kind of a cool looking play. It was a play that I think that you could do a few different things with if you wanted to just end up, pounding it up the middle, handing it off to Brady Russell, or even passing out of that type of situation. I was just happy they scored inside the 5, the deep red zone.
Yeah, exactly, on the goal line. With goal line offense, or short yardage offense. No, I obviously, right. Anytime you get a touchdown out of something, it's hard to complain. And like I was excited about it for sure. And I think one of the things that Grubb did a good job in this game is he got to that pulling guard and tackle type play, the counter play, through a number of different formations and a number of different personnel types, so that, okay, you keep running the same thing over and over, but the window dressing at least looks different enough to where it gives you a chance. And so I think that's going to help prolong the time it takes for opposing teams to figure it out. But much like the JSN middle screen, which was money for like 2 weeks, and then now like no team is fooled by it at all. Like we can't just rest on our laurels here with this particular one play. And the fact that they can at least figure this one out and get 5 dudes out there performing relatively well. And we haven't even talked about giving Geno time in this game and what that meant for Geno's game. Maybe they can just take this as a baby step and get to run a little more inside zone and then like some duo or whatever it is. And there's nobody more correct in the world than the snail. Yes. My favorite Seahawk on this team, these current Seahawks, Abe Lucas, is a GOAT Seahawk. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
I love it.
What do you know? When the offensive line starts to turn around, it's because Abe Lucas is in there at right tackle instead of, I don't know, a third string right tackle. It definitely helps.
It definitely helps. Definitely
I think
helps.
so. With regard to the types of runs that I think the Seahawks can have success with, I think when it comes to zone runs, I think that's where you're going to see K9 tend to have more success. And I think more of the gap runs probably leans more into what Charbonnet can do well, because I don't see him doing as well with more of those zone style runs.
That's a really good observation. I think you're totally correct. I hadn't thought about it at all until you started talking about it. And that makes a lot of sense. K9 kind of being that more, push the edge, sense the cutback, plant a foot and go. Whereas Charbonnet is kind of like, this is where the hole's going, and I'm going to barrel through it no matter what, as a 60% power back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he could get there with a little bit more power.
Yeah, you mean like increases power back potential?
Yeah, like in your Madden rating. You show that you have a little bit of power. Hey, one of the things that came out of this was that Charbonnet had 91 yards of rushing after contact, which I don't know if I necessarily believe, but it's what the stats guys counted. And maybe it was because he got, somebody hit him on the arm as he was going through the line on the 51-yard run. But the part of it I do believe is that it's a lot of yards after contact, because it seems like no matter whether it's Zach Charbonnet in the backfield or Kenneth Walker, there's a dude in the backfield touching him before he's getting positive yards.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's been tough sledding back there. So we'll see if they can build on that. I am encouraged on what I did see off the offensive line in Geno's performance, considering the extra time that he got. He was under pressure far less. And we saw what just a normal, clean football game could be like from the offensive line, and what that meant for Geno Smith, and extremely efficient. That is professional quarterback all the way around.
And then he doesn't get any credit for it because it seems too easy, right? He has 24 completions on 30 yards, 233 yards passing, has a touchdown, QB rating of over 110. And it's like, oh yeah, well, no, we didn't need him. So, well, except when we did need him to make some big third downs and keep drives going. And gosh, he got us out to a quick start. So I do feel like in a week like this, Geno Smith doesn't get enough credit for what he was able to do against the Cardinals.
It's funny. It depends on what side of the Geno argument you're on. I feel like the anti-Geno folks, like a game like today is just like, well, yeah, anybody could do that. I could go out there and do that. And then people who are like incredibly pro Geno, and you could probably throw myself in that category, has a bad game. And, a lot of us are like, oh, well, that wasn't his fault. And that wasn't his fault. And we make all the excuses in the world. So,
right.
The truth being somewhere in the middle, but cleaning up just not that one dumb play a game. That was huge from Geno in this game. And the decisiveness, I think, was what really, really stood out. It was read one, nope, read two, nope, check down. It was rapid fire. And we've been missing that from Geno here a little bit. And I think that's also, too, a part of Ryan Grubb not having the check down answers all the time for Geno. And in this game, he really did.
Yeah. And I think that we can get by too without having a lot of those big explosive downfield throws. You look at some of the biggest plays, it was 24 yards from JSN, 18-yard catch from DK Metcalf. I think Charbonnet had a 20-yard catch, but it wasn't like one of those big down the field, big chunk. I'm happy with taking some of the underneath stuff too and having it develop into an explosive play. But it feels like less explosive hunting than it did in the previous weeks.
Well, again, I do think that this is part of the Grubb evolution. And we talked about this a lot at the beginning of the year. And with the league migrating to the too high Fangio stuff, I mean, we've talked about it ad nauseum. Like, all of the great quarterbacks in the league, including the great Patrick Mahomes, having to be like, okay, they are taking away this deep crap. I'm going to have to be really patient and wait for them to screw up that 2 times a game to be able to take my shots. In the meantime, I'm going to take what the defense gives us and methodically go down the field. It does make it more difficult in terms of scoring drive in, drive out, because it gives you more opportunities for mistakes. But that's what you need to do against it. And it was just awesome to see them all have the patience for it.
Yep, you can play a little field position too. And yeah, I think we've covered the offense pretty well. In terms of, I don't know, are there any other narratives that are bothering you this past week with regards to the offensive side of the ball, Adam?
Well, I guess just JSN being the best receiver in the league now. That's just a shot for Clinton. He's listed in the background, but just the idea, man. Like, hey, I love what I'm seeing. This is great, good steps and everything like that. But let's not get it twisted. He's not the number one. Like, he's just not.
I think it just depends on how you define number one. If he's the guy who gets the most yards every week, and that's how you, if yards matter to you and yards equal number one, then then JSN's the number one receiver.
Yeah, okay. That'd definitely be a way a person could look at it, and it would be a very poor way to do it, in my opinion. But hey, whatever. Teach their own.
That's fine. Levi in Australia, he writes in, says, "Hey guys, I just thought I'd check in again. I'm on holiday with my wife in the USA. Nice. I've been to 7 states and leave for Los Angeles tomorrow. The reason for my message: I have attended my first ever NFL game, which was against the 49ers. I also attended the Jets game in New York. I don't leave to go back home until Monday. All I'm saying is the Seahawks were on a 3-game losing streak. I enter the U.S. and they haven't lost. Yeah. Therefore, this Sunday will be a win against the Cardinals. And after that, I apologize in advance if we lose, as I cannot afford to stay any longer. Appreciate all you do. And sorry, I haven't listened in 4 weeks. It's been long, but enjoyable holiday. Take care. Go Hawks." From Levi. Adam, can we find a way?
Levi's a terrorist. Levi's a terrorist. He's trying to bomb everything. Can't let him leave the country. Get him
Keep
on
him
a
in
list.
the country.
Get him on a list. Like, he can't leave. Send him to Seattle for detention at Lumen Field, because he knows what he did. Levi, what are you doing? Don't leave. Don't leave us.
Can we find a nice way to keep Levi in the country rather than him being a terrorist? I was about to propose that we have a GoFundMe to, I don't know, raise a couple grand for him to stay in the country. But no, now all of a sudden he's on a watch list thanks to you.
He's got 3 manifestos. You got to watch out for that guy.
Well, Levi, if you end up not able to leave the country, it's Adam's fault. It's fine. Get yourself an action green jumpsuit and join us at Lumen Field Sunday night against the Green Bay Packers.
Heck yeah, man. Green Bay coming up here. This is kind of the first real team, I think, in this stretch of the winning streak that we're going to see. This is a fantastic measuring stick game. I'm really looking forward to it. I feel like if we get even the second game of the Cardinals performance out of this offense, that it's going to be highly competitive and they've got a real shot to win. I'm not even saying they have to play that kind of ball for 4 quarters. If they can even do it for a half as they did, man, this is going to be a lot of fun, but the Packers bring a lot of problems to deal with. No doubt about it.
They were in it against the Detroit Lions on Thursday Night Football, but that does mean, Adam, that these Green Bay Packers are coming off a loss to the Lions. Every other team this year has lost following their matchup with the Lions.
Oh and God, so I forgot about that.
I like that streak to keep going. Plus, I don't know if you tuned into That's Good Sports on YouTube this week, but it came up Packers on the curse wheel. So they're having to deal with the curse wheel. They're having to deal with coming off a game against the Lions, and they're having to deal with our Seahawks, where they have their own streak going of losses coming to Seattle. So there's a lot of things stacked against the Packers this week.
The only thing that makes me a little worried about the curse wheel is that it also cursed Buffalo when we played them, and that didn't turn out so well. But
it turned out to be an anti-curse. Yeah.
Right. But I think 2 curses combining forces here, that can only bode well, especially being at home.
Hey, plus it's the Mike Holmgren curse, which has worked for us to have success against the Packers as long as they're in our house.
Right.
And we have not had success going to Lambeau.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're absolutely right, Ryan. Like, Clinton's going to have a great week this week because he can't get it wrong this week when he's talking about the Loves. Yeah.
If he's talking about Jordan Love, then we know who he's talking about. If he's talking about Julian Love, unless he's talking about how many touchdown passes Julian Love's going to throw, then I think that's going to be a little bit problematic.
Well, at least they're both playing in the same game this time. Like, even if he's getting them mixed up still. So that's good.
We're going to get to say Packers when it's the actual Packers instead of the Jets. So that works out for you and me.
Yeah.
It's all around good things.
It's all around good things. A really tough team in a tough division. They are stout up front. Josh Jacobs is a nightmare. What we've saw the last few weeks, experiencing the James Conner show, that's Josh Jacobs in the Packers light. So buckle up. This is a real deal test of this run defense, and I expect a performance similar to James Conner 2 game. I think it's going to look a lot like that out of the defense against their run game.
Just to give you an idea of where Josh Jacobs has been with his run game this season, I expected that he would have had more success against the Detroit Lions. Like, they would have maybe used him. Well, just that he would have had more success. He only rushed for 66 yards on 18 carries against that banged up Detroit Lions defense. So I was surprised that they were able to shut him down as well as they were. He's only gone over 100 yards of rushing this season. Let's see, 3 times, once against Indianapolis, another against Jacksonville, 3rd time against the Niners. He was close. He had 95 yards against the Detroit Lions the first time. But, I mean, just in terms of a special back that, again, the Seahawks defense has to worry about stopping. I think the focus is right, though. You focus on stopping Josh Jacobs, and you can slow down this Packers offense.
I think you can, because Jordan Love, while not having a bad year by any stretch, I'm not trying to throw him under the bus that way. It hasn't been the same as that playoff run in the last few games of the previous year. And he has shown that, at least at this point in his young career as a starter, the Farvian gunslinger comes out a little more often than I think LaFleur would like. And they've been trying to keep him in that 20 to 25 throw a game kind of window. You start getting much past that, and then the mistakes come. So if you can stop the run game with Josh Jacobs, have a solid offensive performance from Geno and company, and even if you're not up 2-3 scores throughout the game, as long as you're keeping the pressure on, and maybe you're just down 3 or up 4 or whatever it is, right? Like, making it so that they have to be keeping up and force Jordan Love to start throwing. Like, all of a sudden, Julian Love maybe has a big game and has a bunch of interceptions. So it's one of those things that they can stop the run, just keep the pressure on with points, try to make it so that Jordan is throwing more than 30 times in the game. And I think he's prone to make that mistake. In the Seahawks have been doing awesome in terms of defensive turnovers to this point.
Jordan was injured to start the season, so that was a little bit due to a slow start. I don't know if that accounts for a lot of the interceptions that he threw toward the start of the season, but he has done a lot better at protecting the football in the last couple of weeks. I don't think he's thrown an interception in the last 2 games, maybe even 3 games.
So he's due.
So he one is that he's due, and one is that he's cursed, and so it's probably going to be a 3 interception game for Jordan Love this week, which is great. But he's good. I think that it's going to be a little bit tough going for them. They're also kind of a slow starting team. Like, they're more of a second half team than a first half team. And so I think if we can find a way to start fast, Adam,
right,
then it's gonna look a lot like the game against the Cardinals.
Yeah, I am very excited to be consistent throughout the game offensively. That would be my preference. I'd love to be consistently good. Let's put the qualifier on there too, so they're not just like consistently bad. Make sure that they know which way we want them to go. But the offense is going to have a struggle against what has been a really good Green Bay defense this year. I mean, I like their dudes up front, whether it's Gary or Clark or Vanessa, the young edge player. I'm a huge Quay Walker fan in the middle. That guy plays with some speed and decisiveness that I think is often overlooked by a lot of people. Jair Alexander is a good corner. I do think that the McKinney addition has been excellent for them throughout this year. He's been a big time playmaker for them. So I think for the Seahawks, honestly, to have success in this game, they are really going to have to run the football. They can't just regress back to trying to throw the football against a defensive front like that can get after the quarterback paired with some real dogs in the secondary.
I say we just go Detroit Lions style and go every fourth down. You just go for it and see how it works out. Hey, the Lions succeeded 4 out of 5 fourth downs against this Packers defense. So let's see that.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if I trust our offensive line as much as Dan Campbell trusts his dudes up front.
Negative. That is a solid negative there. But with that said, if they do go for it on every fourth down, as you suggest, Brandon, how much new TV money do you have for me? Because I'm going to need some new TVs.
Yeah. Hey, I only have to pay for one. You can only ruin one TV.
That's not true. I've got 2 in here I could ruin. And I could probably come back and ruin this monitor right here. Yeah.
Well, I guess after you ruin the second one, then Brett throws you out. And yeah, then maybe I'm not covering a neighbor's television. I'll tell you that right now.
All right. That's fair. You sound just like those insurance scammers, delay, deny, and depose.
That's exactly what I am. I'm delaying the insurance coverage on your TV. I don't know how I got to be the bad guy here when you're the one breaking TVs when our Seahawks.
You're the one taking Michael Dixon off the field. Like, don't do that to me. Don't you put that bad juju on me, Ricky Bobby.
See, I'm with Ryan. Never punt again. It's we're no punting.
No punting. This is going to be fantastic. Can't wait.
I think it was one of the reasons, though, why I'm a little bit less concerned about, like, if you were just to look at the score between the Packers and the Lions, and you go, oh, wow, the Packers put up a bunch of points against this Detroit Lions team. Well, for one, the Lions defense, I mean, they brought in Jamal Adams and had to play him. Like, that's how injured that they are on the defensive side of the ball in Detroit.
Yeah.
2, out of 3 of the touchdowns, one of the touchdowns was a big play to Christian Watson downfield that got him into scoring position. So they needed an explosive play. The other one came off of an interception. They had a short field. And the other one was the failed fourth down that Detroit had that gave them, again, a short field to go ahead and score. So I think with, one, our defense being healthy and a whole lot better than the Detroit Lions, I think it can limit some of those explosive plays. You do have to worry about a guy like Christian Watson, though, and his explosiveness.
Just not his hands.
But hey, 50% of the time they work every time.
That's true.
And he had him working against the Lions. Romeo Doubs, he's still in concussion protocol, so he's one of those receivers that could have some success. Jaden Reed is pretty good. Their youngest receiver. They're all a group of young receivers. Reed didn't do much against the Lions, but
has he done much all year? I just heard him so hyped up all through the offseason.
I think all of the Packers receivers get hyped. That's just the nature of being a Packers receiver.
Well, where's the Bo Melton hype then?
I don't know. Don't be calling for a Bo Melton revenge game.
I didn't. You said it, not me. I just pointed
out
that he was there.
You were thinking it.
No, I don't. Yes. Okay, fine. I was thinking it, but yeah, you're the one who said it, so it's your fault. Yeah, the receiver core is one of those receiver cores with like Wicks, Reed, Dobbs, or is it Daubs? I always want to say Daubs. Yeah,
I think it's Dobbs. I've heard
it
Dobbs.
Is Dobbs. Oh, Dubs, huh? Okay.
Like Doobs.
They're all pretty good. Like I think that core as a whole is a level above what we just saw with the Cardinals. I'm not sure they're a level above what we just saw with the Jets. So,
No,
I don't
probably not.
know. I like Garrett Wilson way better than any of those receivers for Green Bay.
That's
And
true.
point being is that the Seahawks secondary was able to really do a nice job on both of those receiving cores against those quarterbacks. I don't fear their receivers the way that I fear, say, Josh Jacobs in this game.
Stopping Josh Jacobs, that's really where it stops and starts with this Packers team.
Really does.
And I think on the Packers defensive side, though, you listed a lot of good players, but like Edgerrin Cooper's dealing with injuries, Jair Alexander's dealing with injuries, Evan Williams, Javon Bullard, who's their nickel corner. I think even their backup nickel corner is dealing with injuries. And so within that secondary, I listed, 4 guys that could see significant playing time, all dealing with injuries. Xavier McKinney, he can't cover all the ground on the back end.
True fact. He can only cover one guy at a time, maybe a guy and a half if he's having a really good day. But if they're having a difficult time in the slot, like another big JSN day in route here. And look, I'm here for it. Like, keep the success coming, JSN. Get to that point to where it's undeniable that you are who a lot of folks think you are. I think it's great. Keep it rolling.
And it could be a tough day for our defensive line. It looks like the Packers' offensive line have only given up 8 sacks this entire season.
That could easily change in this game. I think the pass rush for the Seahawks has been criminally underrated as a group. Like, there's not that one dude who's really standing out. I mean, I'm not saying that Leo hasn't had a couple spectacular games in this stretch here, but you know what I'm getting at. Like, they are getting pressure from all the different dudes. I watched some stuff on some Byron Murphy breakdown from the last couple games and the way that he has been pressuring the quarterback and stuff. And he's been doing an excellent job of doing his part to move the quarterback off his spot, freeing up other dudes to then be able to corral the quarterback. They've been high in pressure rate too. I do think that they have a very good chance of pressuring Jordan Love into a couple mistakes. Now, with that said, one of the things that I am concerned about regarding this defense is sustainability. Is a lot of what they are living off of, Brandon, is an increase in turnovers. Like, that's really been a big uptick in the last few weeks.
Right.
And that's not something you can rely on. Just ask Bears fans who all thought they had a top 2 defense last year while feasting off of turnovers. And then this year they look okay.
Well, and that's going to be the interesting question in this game. If both quarterbacks take care of the football as well as they have been, and we're talking about straight up possession versus possession and who's able to get the more long scoring drives in this game, then I think it would come. I think that Seattle has the advantage in that part of it, because I think that they do have the better defense over the last stretch of 4 games.
You got to give the new DC there in Green Bay credit, though. Like, they really have. It was Barry before. I think they brought in some dude from BC that had some previous NFL experience, but whatever his name is, they really have made a turn for the better. And I think their defense is a legit defense.
Jeff Hafley is their defensive coordinator.
There it is. I halfway knew who he was.
And we got Clinton in chat saying, 11 sacks on the year. So, that's not bad. But the fact that they enjoy running the ball on first down, that it's going to be whether or not then we can stop them, because that's where we've started to see the pass rush success happen. It's getting those stops on first and second down that put them in the longer down and distances. And that's when our Seahawks get the pressure. Byron Murphy led the team in pressures, in fact, last week.
There you go. Well, it kind of goes to what I was speaking to earlier. So going into this game, how do I feel? I think I'm guardedly optimistic. Again, this feels like a measuring stick game. They come out and they look really good against the Packers here. And let's say they even lose close, but like really battle. And they look like they are on par with the Packers. Like, I'm going to be elated. I'm going to be absolutely elated, because then I feel like I can look at this last little run of success, especially this last Cardinals game, and go, okay, like playoffs, here we come, and this could be fun.
I can see where you're at because our Seahawks, they haven't beaten a team this good yet this season. And have they even played a team that's this good yet? I
arguably the Broncos.
That's even another question.
But were they the Broncos
Bills
in week 1? Yeah, the Bills and
no,
Lions.
No, they weren't. Yeah, the Lions and the Bills were the two toughest games, and those were obvious losses and double-digit losses. And yeah, the Broncos, they were still, it was game 1 with a rookie quarterback. So I don't think that you can quite count that one. But yeah, when you look at it through the lens of the two best teams that they played, being the Bills and Lions, those are 10-point or more losses. That's the part that has me concerned when I look at a Packers team and go, when you say it's a measuring stick game, yeah. If even with the curses there, like that part has me optimistic. But this would be a big win if they're able to get this done against the Packers.
Absolutely. And Topwater with the comment about Chenna here, and totally correct. I had forgotten to mention anything about Chenna being back last week and then having him added to the mix here against the Packers with a full week under his belt. Maybe we'll see, that kind of Abe Lucas-like steady progression as he makes his return from injury.
Well, we are going to be watching our Seahawks go into our own home field, Sunday Night Football, Adam. Do we want to make any predictions here going forward, or should we just leave it at that? Like, we're just excited for our team to keep going.
Okay. Well, I'll make a prediction. I think the Seahawks lose by 4.
Gross. Okay. Why did I even ask you?
Well, because this is what I do. I help to manage expectations. So now anything above that is a total bonus, right?
Yeah. Even
taking
all
the
these
disappointment out early. That's all.
Even
I'm
taking all these curses into account. Gross.
Well, yeah, then anti-predict. Throw out a opposing prediction here.
Well, obviously, with all the curses pile up on top of each other, we win by 12, and we're wearing action green. That seems like the appropriate thing. 30-18, we get the dub.
Okay. I'm really hoping you're right. That would be fantastic. I honestly, though, the prediction that you lay out, I can see a path to that. That's not outrageous.
Well, no, not when. If we see a similar style game, if we see the Packers do what they've tended to do and start slow, our Seahawks can get out to an early lead and put a little pressure on Jordan Love, and we see the more turnover-y side of Jordan instead. Yeah, I think that's good. And plus, gosh, didn't you put Levi on a list? He's still going to be in the country, so we're fine. He's been streaking while he's been here in the country.
That's right. And to Kale there with his comment, shh, like, don't tell anybody. That's not what I'm trying to do, Kale. It's not what I'm trying to do. It's not what I'm trying to do.
Let's get to the second half of the show.
All right, man.
Stay tuned. We'll be back. Enjoy a little intermission music, people.
There we go. me on edge. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Yeah. We're back.
We're back.
Yeah. Just silent.
I know. Well, you missed the end of the music. It's fine.
Damn. I even looked and I was like, I got a minute too. How much did I miss it by?
You missed it by like 5 seconds. It was fine.
Oh, okay. That's not bad. But if this were a real game, Brandon, I'd be killed for my clock management right now. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Well, you know, it depends on who the refs are as to whether or not you get killed.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. If I've got nice home cooking Arizona refs, then yeah, I don't get delay games. That's for sure.
Getting into the second half of the show. Hey, you're out here on YouTube. You're watching the show. Give us a like, subscribe to the show. Adam, we are closing in on 5,000 subscribers. That's pretty exciting.
It is exciting and it's surprising. But look, a lot of us, at least 5,000 of us are close to have the 12 sickness and we just can't shake it. So appreciate you having all you guys along for the ride. It's been awesome.
After the live stream is over, we're doing a special thank you to everyone who has watched this show today. You can go to shp.show/store for a free hat, a free t-shirt, or a mug. Or if you just want to go there and get one of those things, you know, like the hoodie that I'm wearing today, then you can do that too. But you got to leave a comment after this video is over. Comments during the live stream, not going to count, but leave a comment and we will pick a winner from our YouTube comments. So youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. After the stream is over, leave a comment. We're gonna pick someone to get some free swag.
I dig it. That's gonna be cool. Make sure you get in for that, folks.
So as we get into the second half of the show, and as we look across the NFC West, Adam, we talked about the stupid Rams winning.
Boo.
Stupid 49ers also won.
Double boo.
But hey, the Cardinals lost.
Super yay. All the yays. Yeah. No, it was a mediocre day in the NFC West, but the one that we really needed to have happened in a way that was probably the most enjoyable way I've experienced all year, Brandon. Couldn't be happier.
Yeah, it really would have been a disaster had we at least not gotten the win. But by getting the win, we put some space between us and the Cardinals. Cardinals aren't winning this division. No, that's not going to happen. So the Niners, I mean, they could turn things around, right? Could they? Could the Niners turn things around?
If by turn
they get the
around,
win, they get the win Thursday against the Rams. Like, do we get to start talking about maybe the Niners being in it?
Oh, see, this is what's so beautiful about this season for the 49ers. They're going to beat the Rams for us. Please and thank you. Appreciate it. And once they do that, and all their fans get, again, this little bit of false hope of like, well, crap, maybe this is going to come together or at least make the playoffs and all that. Then they're going to suck balls going down the stretch and totally implode. And Kyle Shanahan will probably lose his job. It's going to be a great time.
Well, it's kind of like I look at the schedule for our Seahawks. If you look at the schedule down the stretch for the Niners, like I could envision them going 3-1. If you have the Rams, they go on the road and play the Dolphins. They play the Lions. That's a loss. And then they finish the season with the Cardinals. Hey, what's the likelihood that they could go 3-1?
I don't know, but how many division losses do they have? I feel like they've lost to everybody.
Did
they lose to the Rams the first time?
It was they lost to the Rams the first time.
They did.
Yeah.
Cards once.
Yeah. And then they beat us once. But see, once they beat the Rams, and they could go 3-3 in the division.
Yeah. That's not enough to leapfrog us, though.
Yeah.
In terms of division, if things end up tied.
What do you think it is for our Seahawks? The likelihood. I wanted to ask you this question of whether or not it's more likely that our Seahawks go 3-1 down the stretch, or 1-3?
1-3 or 3-1? I think that I do think that the Bears game is one of those games that I look at and I go, highly winnable, franchise in turmoil for this year. That feels highly likely, right? Okay, so that gets you the one. Rams game, the Rams barely eked out a victory against us, however many weeks ago it was. In the first game that the defense showed up, the defense is even better now. I actually really like our chances in that game. I don't care about Kupp and Nakua. They were there the last time we played them too. I do think that evens out. So that gets you the 2 right there. Then it's just a matter of, well, can you get one over Vikings or Packers? And while both really good teams, and I think, if the Seahawks perform really well against one of them and then beat the other, I think you put them in the same tier with those 2 teams. But it does feel like Lions, maybe Eagles in a tier, and then, the likes of Packers, Vikings, and then hopefully the Seahawks are this. I think they can get one of these 2 games. I'm going to go 3-1. I'm optimistic here. I think it's more likely. I had to talk it out, but I think it's more likely 3-1.
So Mr. Doom and Gloom predicts a loss to the Packers, but then is now predicting 3 straight wins on our way to the playoffs. You know what? As mad as I was about you earlier, predicting that loss, now if it were to happen, and if it happens because Levi did make it back home to Australia, Levi, there's still time to come back. Like airplanes,
who let him go?
To be here, I don't know.
Department of Homeland Security is worthless. This is a joke.
Bring him back. Extradition.
Extradition.
I don't know if you can extradite someone who is a citizen, but I'm sure that Levi committed a crime while he was here.
Yeah, the crime was he didn't stay. We need him for at least a few more weeks. What do you think? 1 or 3 or 3-1? Where are you at?
I think that it's more likely that we go 1-3, just because I'm not completely sold that we've figured things out over these past couple weeks. Like I'm riding a little bit of a high coming off of a 4-game win streak, but I look at the Packers, without the curses involved. Like if it were a neutral field, no curses, I feel like we probably lose to the Packers. And the Vikings are just really, really good, even with Sam Darnold at quarterback. And then the stupid Rams. I hate the Rams. Like that. Those all seem like very possible losses to me.
Yeah, I guess I feel the most confident against the Vikings only because of kind of the boom and bust nature of the Flores defense there in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I do think that
they've been very boomy though.
Oh, I'm not saying that they haven't had a lot of success, but I'm saying they can get got because of the risks that they take defensively, being as aggressive as Flores is. With that said, offensively, KOC's done a fantastic job. He's one of the best coaches in the league. You got to give it up to him. Who'd they bring in as the running back? The dude from Aaron Jones. They brought in Aaron Jones. I like that move for them. I do think that Darrisaw injury is going to catch up with him with that team at some point. And I get that Sam Darnold's had a nice year overall. People have a hard time believing in the Genosance, right? We're on year 3 of it now. Like, I think it's kind of spoken for itself. Yeah. But with that said, like, there's so many people have no problems reanointing Sam Darnold, like after he's had 3/4 of a good season. I just like our odds against the Vikings, and we've had good historic success against that franchise too. So that feels, I don't know, just have this vibe about it that feels like a win to me.
That is almost do better conversation worthy. We talk about some of these season narratives. I am starting to hear the rumblings of, should we consider Sam Darnold as a possible MVP candidate this year?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Look, so my do better literally has like a little bit to do with this. So we can get into it now and just skip over it later.
Let's save it.
Okay. Yeah.
Let us welcome some new members of the flock and thank our members of the flock. Adam, uh, we've got our executive producers, DCH, Ryan Peterson, JC Schilling in the 313th, also Jake Burdine and Brian Shaw. Those are our executive producers. And if you want to become a member of the flock, you can go to getintheflock.com. Now that we're closing in on 5,000 YouTube subscribers, I'm saying maybe we go for the goal of 500 members of the flock at getintheflock.com. And you could do that. You can go for the free tier. There is a free tier there. If you want to go and sign up, get you onto our email list so you can know when the shows are coming out. But if you want to support us at $3 above or more a month, then it gets you into our Discord group.
Yeah, and you're just kind of crazy if you don't do it, to be honest. Like the Discord on game day, and you know how I am, Brandon. I'm anti, computer chatty things like as a whole. And I actually have a great time with the Discord throughout the game. And it's a fantastic community of people. And if you want to be even virtually among some fellow 12s who really love football just as much as you do in this Hawks team, just as much as you do, man, get that $3 in a month, get in that Discord. It's an awesome time.
I'm also tempted, Adam, to extend the 2-year grace period that we have, because one of the things that we say, it's a value for value type show. And a lot of times we see people, they wait 2 years before they decide that they've gotten the kind of value that they want to start returning to the show. Yeah. And it's where it kind of works out. So at the 2-year period, you can kind of check yourself. I say we go an extra 6 months if they go ahead and join the free tier at getintheflock.com.
Ooh, I like it. Okay. Yeah. Hey, look at that. It's a nice benevolent offering you make there, Brandon. I think that's cool.
All right. Well, we want to thank Stephen Kirkpatrick for coming in with his score donation, $30.18 via Zelle. Big thanks to Stephen.
Look, man, at some point, Steven's got to be rooting against Ryan Grubb, right? Like, the more points they score, the more expensive it gets for him. But, dude, the support's been phenomenal, and we thank you, man. It's been really cool.
Do you think that Steven was happy at the end of the first half when they were trying to drain the clock, but maybe get into field goal range? Like, he's like, okay, we don't need to score a touchdown before the end of the half because we get the ball after the half. So let's just drive down the field. And yeah, if we can get another score, like a field goal, that's fine. We go up by 17 going into the half. But they dialed it back in that moment, I think. And I think maybe Steven was happy about that.
Oh, sure, man. I mean, that's 3 whole bones right there, right?
We got Andrew coming in with a 12 donation via PayPal, Seahawkerspodcast.com/donate. Hey guys, Andrew from Nashville here. Thanks for always delivering awesome content. Just 2 quick things. We've swept the Cards for 3 years now. If you could pick any team to sweep for the next 3 years, who would it be? The obvious answer is probably the right answer. My vote would be the Lambs. Also, you wished my daughter Addison a happy birthday several years ago, and I was wondering if you could do that once again. This December 12th is her golden birthday. She was born on the best Seahawk day, 12/12/12. Thanks again for the consistently great podcast. Looking forward to seeing how the Hawks measure up against the Packers and Vikings these next couple weeks. Go Hawks, Andrew from Nashville.
Hey, go Hawks, Andrew, and to young Addison, who clearly your Hawker is the highest of all of the little flockers by far. Happy freaking birthday to you, girl. Like, that's super cool. 12/12, that's amazing.
How do we not get Andrew and his daughter to the game or to a game? When's the next 12/12 game? That'd be a fun one to go to.
Ooh, yeah.
But on her golden birthday, that's kind of fits in there.
It sure does. That's amazing. No, really cool. In terms of who would I like to sweep next? It's low-hanging fruit for me, man. God, I hate the Rams. I hate them. I hate them so damn much. God, I would love to see McVay slink away into the night after getting swept under the rug by Coach Mike. That'd be so much fun.
Okay. Since you're going to take the Rams, I will take the next obvious answer. And I would like to, over the next 3 years, I would like to sweep the team that we play in the NFC Championship and then the Super Bowl.
Oh, see, you did work that in. I was trying to figure out a way to make that work, and I couldn't get there. And so kudos to you. Yeah, well done. I like yours better.
See, this is not a live and uncatfish show, Ryan. This is just a live flagship show. So I guess that's what Adam's thinking with censoring himself.
I don't know. I was just wishing a happy birthday to a 12-year-old, right? Like, it kind of hit me that it's not just all a bunch of 45-year-olds like me listening to this. And I was like, just try to be better. You know, it's hard. It's hard.
That's fine. All right. Well, speaking of, it's hard to stop eating guaranteed barbecue when you go through Kellogg, Idaho, especially with the 12% Little Flocker discount.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, Garen, he just, I actually tried a bunch of barbecue on my last road trip out to, Seattle area. And, I had some good stuff, but it wasn't guaranteed. Like, it wasn't guaranteed awesome like it is from Garen's joint there. So hit it up, folks. It's fantastic.
Well, thanks to Garen. Thanks to our executive producers, and a big thanks to our overlord, Evie, who is coming in and has some Pick'em League things to say. Dear underlings, apologies for going missing last week. It was performance week of my interhouse drama competition, and everything got away from me. Do not panic, though. I still care, and I'm watching all of you. Last week, when the Seahawks, you all obeyed the rules and picked the Seahawks. Maybe, and I blame myself for this, for not writing last week, and maybe you thought I wasn't watching anymore. One of you, Hot Pocket Locket, thought you could pick the Arizona Cardinals? Who am I kidding? That isn't on me. That's on all of you. Do better. Brandon, leave the pick as it is. If you don't pick the Seahawks when they win, you don't deserve to share in the glory. You get glory from beating the Cardinals? I don't know. Do it again, though, and there will be punishment. I think that this was an honest mistake.
I did too. This feels like a misclick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost did this myself because I think the games leading up to the Seahawks were all obvious home victories. And then so you just get used to clicking down the home column. And I almost misclicked myself and clicked over to the Seahawks. So with the name Hot Pocket Locket, that it strikes me as a mistake.
Totally. I think they're in the clear here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, not in the clear. I mean, they're one pick down where they should have gotten the win, but
that's true. Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
It is.
In first place this week was Britain's own Hawk Van Dyke with 12 correct picks and the closest tiebreaker.
Hey, look, we're definitely gonna have to do a pick show because Bloomy needs his credit, man. Hey, good for him, dude. That's fantastic.
Overall, Wirehawks is still out in the lead, 154, 2 clear from Fernando Tejada in second. I like to touch my Bobo and Lock It Away are in third on 150, with W Divining Road making up the top 5, one further back on 149. Dad is currently sitting in joint 9th on 147. He got very excited when on a recent episode, Brandon mentioned a prize for a top 10 finish. Do not worry, Brandon. I have corrected him and have told him that it's only top 5 getting a prize. Made only more funny by the fact that he finished 6th in the last 2 years. Nearly as funny as his absolute disgust every week at the Jaguars. He simply cannot pick what they're going to do, and long may it continue. In the Brandon versus Adam mini league, Brandon has 133 and Adam has 138. The gap is closing, but has Brandon left it too late? I've lost count as to who has the most weeks, but I'm going to go with Adam is still winning in that too. Have a great week and go Hawks. Love, Evie.
Love you back, Evie. Thank you for being the fantastic overlord that you are. Yeah, Brandon, back within 5 picks of me in the Pick'em League here. I'm just letting you get close enough to break your heart. Like, I just wanted to let you know.
back within 5 picks and me generously allowing you to post-game pick all of your games the last 2 weeks. It's fine.
To be fair, we did that with Clinton on the line, and Clinton gave his nod of approval of that I was being honest with what my picks would have been.
Yeah, it was pretty easy. I mean, a lot of chalky picks the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
All right. Early game picks, Adam.
Yeah.
49ers versus Rams. Who are we picking? The Rams at 61%, and they are playing in Santa Clara. 49ers at 39%.
Yeah. So for this game, I got I think they win, that team. Yeah. Gross. How about you, Brandon?
I was just gonna go off of the opposite of who you took.
No, that tracks. Yeah. So for sure, Niners victory, because that strategy has not worked for you very well.
It's not worked for me,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I want it to not work for me. I want the Rams to lose this game.
Sweet. So in almost any way, we're happy here, right?
Yeah. See,
Okay.
Carly's strategy too, picking the Rams in hopes to
Okay.
curse them.
All right.
I'm also picking the Rams in hopes to curse them. Double curse, Carly, me. It all adds up.
Yeah, I like it. This is going to be fun.
All right. Look, I've lost so many weeks in Pick'em this week. It's I can take the bullet. It's fine.
That's true. You're a very magnanimous man that way.
Got a couple emails here in the mailbag. If you want to be a part of it, you can go to seahawkerspodcast.com, click the contact link, and we've got one here from Hugh, the overlords.
What of you? Yeah.
Father. Yes. Dear Brandon, Adam, and all members of the flock, who would have thought it 4 weeks ago we'd be sitting on top of the division, a defense looking masterful, able to stop the run, secondary looking good, Leo Williams looking superhuman. Man, that guy could play ball. If we are looking for a name for the new defense, may I offer the ROB, the revival of boom. It feels like we are getting back to some of the good old days on defense. So much, in fact, if you squint hard enough, it's almost like we're playing Pete ball, keeping it close, playing tough defense, and then winning it late in the fourth quarter. Remember when that wasn't what people wanted us to do? The offense still concerns me. We appear to be very predictable, although I am seeing signs of improvement, I think, more under center and more commitment to the run game. O-line looking like they've played football before, and Gino remembering to only throw to our team. Hopefully, we will continue to improve and set us up for a real push next year and the year beyond. I have a favor to ask. Can Adam please bang on my soccer team, Sheffield United, and say they are rubbish and will never win the league and get promoted? And likewise, my employer too, and that they will never give me a pay raise. I'm hoping that in the same way Charbonnet and Bryant have made him eat his words, my 2 requests will also do the same. Finally, I thought I'd share, after the naming of the Christmas tree Spruce Wayne, years ago I played cricket with a guy called Wayne Bruce. We nicknamed him Man Bat. Keep being awesome. Go Hawks, from Hugh.
Hey, all right, Hugh. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm happy. Sheffield United is rubbish, and so is Hugh's boss, and he'll never get a raise, a massive raise in promotion at his place of employment. It's just never going to happen. So tough break for Hugh, I guess, and tough break for Sheffield United. So, yeah.
I bet Man Bat got a raise at work.
How could you not? He works through all hours of the night.
Of course.
Yeah.
And we've got an email from the Bard, John Davison. Hi, fellas. Greetings from a very happy Hawks fan. It turned out to be a rather jolly weekend for all of us, but especially for Scott Huff and Ryan Grubb, to whom I send my undying gratitude, for this week anyway. I can't fault any part of the team whatsoever. It had to be the most complete performance of the season. The lines blocked, the runners ran, the receivers caught, and the quarterback threw. What's not to like? So we're into December and top of the division. So let's keep this going. My only cloud on my horizon is the nagging feeling that the Rams v Seahawks game is going to decide everything. So I'm keeping an eye out for them, the Commanders, to sneak past them for a wild card. But Barry is not supporting me here. Never mind. One game at a time, and the Packers game is slightly more winnable than the Vikings. So come on, Seahawks, shock me. Yours, the Bard.
Love it. Yeah, I'm not sure which of those two, the Green Bay Viking games, are more winnable. I kind of feel like Vikings, because really the Packers, I think their only losses are to the divisional opponents to this point, or at least the vast majority of them. So
For the Packers?
yeah, I think they've only really lost to the Lions, the Vikes. And did they lose one to the Bears? No, I don't think so.
They lost to the Eagles to start the season.
Oh, right. That was a dumb game in Brazil.
Yeah.
That was weird.
So yeah, Lions twice, Vikings once, and the Eagles.
There it is. Okay. Yeah. Those are good teams.
All good teams. Yeah, it does have me. But that's the thing about the Vikings. I mean, who have they lost to? The Lions?
Yeah, pretty much. No, they
and
had
the Rams.
one weird loss. Yeah, there it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one felt fluky.
That was the weird one.
Yeah. Oh, well.
I know. This could be a tough couple games.
It's going to be fun. This is fun. I love seeing that, this team started to come together, and now we actually get to put it to the test instead of being like, oh, well, we finished out against a murderer's row of sub 500 opponents and like going into the offseason thinking maybe we better than we are or worse than we are, whatever it is. Like this, now we get to know.
We're going to know for sure.
Yeah,
definitely. Over this next stretch of 4 games. Absolutely.
Yeah.
On to do better and better at life.
All right, man. My do better this week is for really no particular pundit, although we could put maybe Chris Brockman on his overreaction podcast as maybe the leader in the clubhouse of this, but I understand the shtick that they do there, so like I can't be too mad at him. But man, I don't know if I have to hear one more talking face talk about how Sam Darnold has had this amazing year. You got to sign Sam Darnold and trade JJ McCarthy. Like you got to get rid of him. Like, and not only that, these are the same freaking jokers that have a seismic heart attack every time somebody drafts somebody like Bo Nix. Oh my God, he's 24-year-old rookie. Oh my stars, what are we gonna do? And now they're the same people being like, well, he's only 26, 27. He can be your franchise guy. Pay him like a franchise guy. He's only 26, 27. Yeah, exactly. Like the hypocrisy of it is crazy. But I don't understand this at all. Sam Darnold has had himself 1.75 of a nice season. Fantastic. Have we ever thought to ourselves, hey, maybe this KOC guy is a hell of a coach? Look at Kirk Cousins before the Achilles. Look at Kirk Cousins over in Atlanta. Those are very different quarterbacks right now. Very different quarterbacks. And now he's taken Sam Darnold, who's had a rough go at all 3 of his stops prior to this, and KOC's making him look good. Maybe you should pay KOC a little extra money and not jettison your first-round quarterback that you've seen precisely 0 freaking snaps from in a regular season game. Look, I don't understand why signing Sam Darnold on like a 2-year Geno Prove-It deal at this point, which you think would be exactly what Sam would do. Be like, yeah, I'm in a great situation. Why would I screw this up? I've got Justin fucking Jefferson and Addison and KOC as a coach. Like, yeah, let me stay here and increase my value even higher. Sign him to a 2-year Geno Prove-It deal. Guess what? JJ's still on a rookie contract, and he's young. He's like 21, coming off a second knee procedure now. Maybe give him another year to sit and learn and polish his craft, as this year has been a redshirt year. To just jettison JJ because Sam fucking Darnold has had a good 7 months, they're so stupid, and I can barely stand it. Anybody advocating for that, do better.
The one thing that reminded me of that was a discussion that came up of whether or not you would rather, with Sam Darnold playing well, if the Vikings decide to move on from him, then you move on from Geno Smith to sign Sam Darnold because he's that much younger and on his way up.
Yeah, I know. I've heard that one too. You could throw that into the do better too. What are we doing?
That just seems silly.
It seems it is silly. Yeah.
My do better this week is for ESPN's Simpsons broadcast, Adam. This week on Monday Night Football, we got an alternate broadcast, and maybe it gives us a reason to tune in and watch the Cowboys and Bengals. But also the player models, when you tune in, it's not very good. And what was cool is we got a couple Simpsons characters on screen. Like Homer came in and he threw a touchdown pass to Ralph. And I think Ralph was playing for CeeDee Lamb. and obviously Homer was playing Cooper Rush. How come we couldn't just have all the Simpsons characters then? The Simpsons characters looked better than the player models for the players. So if we're going to do this, ESPN, you go all the way, you put all the Simpsons characters out on the field, and you do better.
Yeah. Look, I think that you could put Marge out on the edge, and with that hair, she'd be a shutdown corner. You couldn't get any balls over top of her. I think it'd just be over.
That would be fun.
And believe it or not, Marge's sack, her short area quickness,
off the charts.
It's off the charts. It's amazing.
Well, on to Better at Life. And my Better at Life, Adam, though, is also for ESPN Simpsons broadcast, because it got my middle daughter to watch football for a full quarter. Like, she never had interest before. Wow. Like, they did the Toy Story, the Nickelodeon broadcast. Not interesting at all. But this one was interesting because they brought in, and I guess they planned out for it for months and months, of some of the things that they would work in.
Looks like I lost Brandon for a
minute. It looked like we disappeared there for a second.
Yeah, you froze on me there for a hot tick, but
we both froze. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Amy's saying we lost me, but I'm back.
Hey, it wasn't me. Hooray. Yeah.
But also, the great thing about this, Mina Kimes and the rest of the crew, they had so many good Simpsons references like throughout the show. They inserted like a lot of the Simpsons backstory. They inserted quotes. They talked about how Homer was almost the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. And it was that part of it that it got my daughter chuckling along. Not enough to watch the whole game, but good for one quarter. And for that, I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to reach out to another demographic, and we're doing that. ESPN, Better at Life than Skip Bayless.
All right, man. I didn't watch a minute of it. I mean, I like the Simpsons fine, but I'm not like a massive Simpsons fan either. But the idea that it did bring in, somebody like your daughter for at least a quarter, half a tick, right? Like, that's something there, and just kind of starts to, wet the whistle there. And I was just going to say, didn't Homer end up with the Denver Broncos? Isn't that what happened? Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. Oh, the Denver Broncos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But so the other funny part of it was when Professor Frank came on the screen and explained what a running back was. And she's like, see, this is what I need.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, and it's something to keep in mind too, as you're watching the game with, other friends and family who are potential newbies to the game and the league, and trying to explain things like, trying to keep the jargon down and just, make it simple, because really the game is a simple, beautiful game when you really look at it.
It can be simple. It can be very much complicated, like calling run plays, gap runs, zone runs, and, counter run in the gap scheme.
The red-green zone.
Yeah, red, green zone, red zone, the close red zone, the far red zone. It's
your mom's zone. Yeah.
Ryan saying, can Professor Frank explain what a catch is? Nope. Not possible.
Not a chance. I don't even think AI can do it. Like,
let's try and keep it simple, like explaining the positions, Ryan.
Right. I mean, there's just certain things that we'll never know the answers to, like how the universe began. Is God real? Like, just stuff like that. And what is a catch falls right into that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
Who you got this week?
Well, my Better at Life than Skip Bayless this week is for Apple. Look, you've heard me, guys, you've heard me for years rant about the mandatory updates that they shove down our throats on all of our stuff. And it makes me furious. And it usually ruins 2 or 3 things that work just fine for like no reason for an update that I didn't want. But you've also heard me say over the years that I'm highly frustrated with the idea that there was no way to type something in italics on your text. Like, just that simple thing would change the entire way that I could communicate with people over text. I'm a sarcastic person. Like, I speak a lot with tone. It's a big part of my communication style. And this has been frustrating me forever, because then what's your alternative? You can't do italics, so you go all caps. Now you just sound angry and like a douchebag. And that was really frustrating. So the other day, my phone, it updates and I'm mad and go to fire it up. And then Brittany has her phone update today and she starts just sending me words with like different effects. And you know what one of them was, Brandon? Freaking italics. Italics are here. I can use them on my text now. This is going to be a game changer. I'm not going to alienate friends and family anymore because now I can put the sarcastic words in italics. This is fantastic. I'm very fired up. Apple, for once, doing something worth a damn. Better at life than Skip Bayless.
It only took Apple programmers 20 years to figure out how to program text into italics in text messages. Well done.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't believe that it's taken this long, but, you know, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. We've got italics, people.
They can monitor your heart rate. They can measure all your steps that you take throughout the day. They can let you know if you're wearing a watch, if you're about to have a heart issue. And they just needed to get that stuff out of the way first. And they're like, oh, what else can we do? I don't know. How about freaking italics in text messages?
Yeah. I want to say that I'm going to take all the credit for it because I feel like I've been leading the charge on this. I did see from Ryan here, a comment about sucking at Android because I don't know if they can or can't do it. But I'm going to have to send a italics laden text to Android lover Clinton to see if it comes through on an Android with the italics. Because if that doesn't happen, then what's the point?
I think Clinton can just wait until he finally orders his new Apple phone, because I think we finally got him worked into submission on this one.
You know, it was an interesting week, Brandon. You decided that it was time to do a live flagship and kind of finally came around on that. Clinton has seen the light and is getting rid of his cobbled together, like with 15 third-party apps, Android phone. And I think Brittany and I are moving from the cabin into San Francisco to live amongst the people in a condo. I think it's going to be great.
And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.